The Oscars happened. Yes, we have seen them. It was very exciting. I've got a little package that I built here. Boom, that I can put on screen. It looks great with some footage of Adrian Brody winning an award and Jeremy Strong not winning an award. Overall, pretty good night, I think. It was Sunday. I got cozy on the couch to watch it on Hulu here, only to find that Hulu wasn't working for me and most of the world. From like 6:30 to 7:30, like red carpet and the first couple awards, Hulu was just not having it, dude. You couldn't log in. You couldn't get anywhere. Like some people are getting kicked out of the app. I couldn't make it happen. And then finally, eventually, I got into it, and the show was rolling along fine. You got ads. You got a good back and forth. And they had a decent category lineup this year to get down to the big awards. But then when it comes down to it, right before best actress and best picture, the thing shut off. The Hulu just said, "Hey, it's done. You can't watch anymore. It's over." And then I just had to find out on Twitter how the awards ended. It was pretty spectacular. It's the biggest night at the movies, and Hulu couldn't keep it together. Really a bummer. But overall, a pretty good show. Conan O'Brien was a great host. Like, lots of fun, big laughs. They had this weird 4-minute James Bond segment in the middle that felt like an Amazon ad. Overall, I think everybody had a pretty good night. Andy, how was your experience, and what'd you think of the awards?
So I was excited to watch this on the app as well, and then it wouldn't work, and I was nothing would load, nothing would I couldn't do anything. I have a theory, because this happened with the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight on Netflix too, where they just clearly hadn't bought enough servers or whatever resources they needed, and it's like they don't care. They're just like they'll take the Twitter backlash rather than spend more money on making sure they have enough resources. So it felt very similar to that. So I couldn't really watch it at all. At no point would it work for me. So I
Yeah.
just had to follow along on Twitter as well.
Awesome. Next year, I'm just going to buy an antenna and mount it to my roof so I can just watch ABC broadcast. I guess that'll be the way to do it. Or maybe not, because I think ABC doesn't have the rights to it. Either way, we got our Oscar ballots pulled up. It's got our winners against what Andy and I picked that we reviewed last week in our final noms review. So we'll go through the ones we know. After this, we'll hit the Razzies. Then we'll talk about Naja too. We got to talk about the biggest animated movie ever. So line up. Here we go. Let's jump into it. Andy, I guess we start at the top, right? Best Picture?
Yeah, best picture and kind of biggest story is that it was Honora's night. Honora won best picture, best director, best editing, best original screenplay, and of course a big upset, Mikey Madison for best actress, upsetting Demi Moore, who was kind of favored to win that. So 5 Oscars overall, 4 for Sean Baker alone, because he did write it and he does edit his own film. So this was like a new record. The previous person to win 4 Oscars in one night, Walt Disney. So pretty big shoes to fill. So that's the story for the night. I was correct on this one. Following along closely, I've been watching the award circuit all season, like listening to lots of podcasts and breakdowns and all this stuff. So I felt like I had my finger on the pulse. So huge best picture win along with 4 other awards.
Listen, I, for one, am proud to be aligned on the show with somebody who is so good at calling them here. Andy's ballot picks were excellent this year. He blew me out of the water. I am so cross about how bad my ballot picks were that I got on to hear this interview, and I told Andy before we started, I was like, I'm doing a blind ballot next year. I don't want to see your picks. They're just going to throw my picks off. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it was absolutely a Nora's night. He's totally right. Sean Baker walks home with 4, gets Best Picture. I was mostly a Brutalist boy. I thought Brutalist was going to do some damage here, and it did. Brutalist had a great night. We saw Adrian Brody take home Best Actor. We saw Best Cinematography, Best Score go to Daniel Lumberg for The Brutalist. Huge picks, real big picks. And I remember telling Andy when he told me that people were gambling on the Oscars this year, I said, nobody should be dumb enough to gamble on the Oscars. But that being said, I would put money on Brutalist winning Best Score like you wouldn't believe. And I'm glad it won. And I felt good about that one. But otherwise, dude, I took some damage this year. Meanwhile, best supporting, right, were some surprises for us as well. Not a surprise for you. You were absolutely right about Kieran Culkin, but otherwise, best supporting was, surprising.
Yeah. Kieran Culkin was pretty much the front runner all season. Jeremy Strong was kind of in second place, but of course went to Kieran Culkin. That was the first award announced for the night. Of course, also Zoe Saldana won for Best Supporting Actress for Amelia Perez. it was a question whether or not her campaign was going to be hurt by the controversy that happened earlier in the season. So much can change in 6 weeks, because 6 weeks ago, when it was the nominations were announced and Amelia Perez got 13, people were like, it's going to be an Amelia Perez sweep, like best pick, 13 nominate. It's so much, and so much can change. Amelia Perez did win a second one. I forget what else. Best original
Best
song,
music.
best original.
Yeah, original
Yeah.
song. Yeah, you were right on. You were right
Go
on
ahead.
that one as well. You had called music, and I was like, I don't know any of these songs, but they had 2 of the 5 picks for Amelia Perez, so that was a good one off the top. Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez, you had predicted as well. I had taken a swing at Ariana Grande, a hopeful swing that maybe she'd get it, but it's all right. She's got time. I think Ariana Grande can get an Oscar if she wants it. Jeremy Strong's a huge bummer, dude. I was really pulling for him. I know he didn't have a lot of success at some of the awards coming up to this. Like Culkin won the SAG award. Like it just seemed like I think Culkin won the Golden Globe too. Like it seemed like he was probably going to get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
For me, out of these, the big upset was Demi Moore not getting actress over Mikey Madison. Like Mikey Madison, it was a Nora's Night for sure, but like, dude, both of us thought it was a lot. Her and Chalamet, right? I mean, my God.
I literally, because it pulled up on my phone, I immediately said no, and I realized that's not the reaction to have, because a lot of people see the awards as the Oscars as a legacy kind of award. You reward a career, not just a performance. But sometimes you reward kind of the finding of a new talent. That's what like Lily Gladstone was last year, or Ariana DeBose. In this case, it did go to Mikey Madison for Nora, which is really deserving. That is an incredible performance. It is her first. That's literally her first starring role, and also her first nomination and win, which is crazy. And at the young age of 25, and it's almost harder to win that young, because then you got to kind of spend part of your career proving that you deserved it. It's one thing when you have a career like Leonardo DiCaprio or Timothy Chalamet, when you haven't done much, there's a lot of pressure, and sometimes people don't go on to do much. I think she's going to be fine though. But like, for instance, Ariana DeBose has done nothing but like dog water movies since West Side Story. We're pulling for her. We know she's capable of more.
Yeah, and it plays real funny opposite Chalamet losing actor to Adrian Brody, right? Because Chalamet's got the opposite story that Michael Madison has. He's been in like 12 bangers. He's a King Midas in movies. Every movie Chalamet is in makes $100 million and is awesome, and he's diverse and different every time. It just seemed like a shoe-in for Complete Unknown. God, he sings and dances on screen. He plays guitar. There's like 40 songs. We both had him picked. Adrian Brody beats him out. It's a bummer. Adrian Brody sets the world record for the longest Oscar speech ever. A little lame when he told him to turn the music off. Gonna be honest, and I'm a Brody stan. I like Adrian Brody, but like, dude, come on, get out of here. And yeah, what are you gonna do? I do want to talk about the animated film. Go ahead.
For sure. So the other thing about these acting awards is there's a certain momentum. Like if you're with Mikey Madison, when I think about like, oh well, her movie won Best Picture, Director, Writing, editing. Like if you're checking all those boxes for Nora, it creates a momentum where like, yeah, she's probably makes sense for her to win it. And with Timothy Chalamet, A Complete Unknown was shut out. It was nominated for 8 awards, 1 0. So that's maybe more of a, the Academy wasn't feeling the movie, so they weren't going to pick just the performance from it.
Yeah, actually, which is a good thing too, because I was putting this together and I actually thought Conclave had got completely beat out and won nothing, but they won that sneaky adapted screenplay, right? They got that over there.
You called it.
Which was my guess at it. I was like, man, maybe. I also thought Conclave was going to win a couple other things too, but it's all right. Meanwhile, visual effects and sound both go to Dune Part 2. Couldn't believe it. My God, Dune Part 2, Academy Award winning film. And thank God, I'm glad. They feel like small categories compared to the bigger ones, but dude, visual effects is an insane category in the year of our Lord 2025. If you can win visual effects, you're doing something great. As for the sound, hard to argue, man. The sound was incredible in that movie. I don't know, Complete Unknown maybe for the live singing and acting, but nah, dude, the sound of riding a sandworm is unbeatable.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about animated?
I did. Flow won. I don't believe it. We just recovered Flow on the podcast last week. Scrappy little $10 million indie film, a Latvian film, rendered all on one computer, 85 minutes. They didn't even use a render farm, Andy. They didn't even use language. There's no subtitles in the movie. Like, this movie makes these other movies look so much larger, and somehow Flow walks away with it. Like, kind of a big win for indie cinema. Kind of a big win for small animators who feel like, well, I don't have a big budget and I don't have a big team and I can only do so much. You'd be surprised what you can get away with. Like, Flow is a good time. It's a testament to what's possible.
It was a $3 million film. You compare that to Inside Out 2, which I think is a $200 million film. Wild Robot, around a little bit over $100 million budget. So, I mean, incredibly small. And, not usually, there's no dialogue. There's nothing to, there's not a lot of, there's no songs, there's no singing and dancing. It's very philosophical. But I mean, I changed my pick after I saw it. That's how much it affected me. We mentioned the Brutalist one cinematography. We were both correct on that pick. Costume design went to Wicked, which we also picked correctly. So we were on a little bit of a roll. That I'm going to roll through these. Documentary feature film, which we haven't watched any of these, went to No Other Land, which I know is about Palestine. I don't know much more than that. Documentary short went to The Only Girl in the Orchestra. Zach, tell us about international feature.
Yeah, this went to I'm Still Here, which was my guess, and I haven't seen. So a complete blind shot. I just know it's been getting a ton of praise. I know it's been getting a lot of attention. I know the performances have been really hot. I don't know. I total shot in the dark. We did actually see Emilia Perez. I wanted to see Seed of Sacred Fig, and I did see Flow. But out of those, I just felt like, I don't know. I feel like that one might have the smoke this year. So at least I can read the presser, right? At least I can read the room and guess which way the wind's gonna blow. Meanwhile, Makeup and Hairstyling was a film we'd both seen. The Substance. Very excited. The Substance is an Academy Award winning film, even if it's for a smaller one. Even if it's through Makeup and Hairstyling, I don't care. They can put it on the Blu-ray. It'll be great. I don't know, man. Like I was pretty pleased overall. I think with all of these, like, not too shabby of an evening. Oh, and production design, which I take it back. I was bummed about production design. Wicked one production design, and I thought
that was a bit of a surprise. Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. Yeah, we had picked every other film. Oh, Wicked did better than I had thought. Again, most of the below the line technical awards. I wanted to quickly say about international feature. This was kind of Emilia Perez's award to lose, and they absolutely lost it to I'm Still Here, likely because of the controversy earlier in the season. So I mean, it definitely did hurt it. Finally, let's talk a little bit about writing. This is where I missed on both of these, and Zach guessed this right. Adapted screenplay went to Conclave. Was the only award that Conclave won. Based on that, of course, directed by Edward Berger, based on the novel of the same name.
Yeah. Meanwhile, writing original screenplay went to Anora, which both of us missed. You guessed Real Pain, and I guessed The Substance. Conclave win was weird, man. I did think it was going to do better. I mean, there were people talking about it being a Conclave sweep this year. Like, Conclave was gonna win Best Picture, right? Like, might do it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
might sneak.
But just like Substance, it just gets like one, right? Like, which, hey, is huge. It got nominated for a lot more, but like, even still, like, glad to see it get in here. Like, I know it's adapted, it's not an original work, but like, sharp for what's there. Conclave's real good stuff. I would have figured maybe an acting award or something, but dude, like, the acting was stacked this year. I feel like all of this was stacked this year. 2025 was a real banger year at the movies.
Yeah, I mean, it was changing every week. It was a different front runner. I mean, when the nominations came out, it was Emilia Perez, then it was The Brutalist, then it was Conclave, then it was a Nora, and like the previous winners, smaller awards things were all over the place. So it was hard to completely predict. But I think the right people won, and Mikey Madison definitely deserves to win as much of an upset as it is for Demi Moore. Because sometimes people win and it's like, why? But she definitely deserved it. And I look forward to seeing more great performances from her.
Yeah, me too. I think she's got a lot to offer. One more thing we should talk about before I move into Naja, the Razzies. Got to take a quick look at the worst awards in film, right? So we've got a list pulled up from the Hollywood Reporter. We're gonna roll through these real fast for you. Any Any highlights here, Andy? I mean, besides obviously Francis Ford Coppola flipping out about this on Instagram, losing his mind.
I think the funny thing is that we definitely have seen a number of these because we are dedicated to cinema, and that means sometimes watching movies that aren't super great.
For the love of the game,
Um,
baby.
That's right. Worst picture went to Madam Web, a comic book movie based originally, released to everywhere. A serious a serious Razzie contender. Other nominees were Borderlands, Joker 2, Megalopolis, and Reagan.
I love it. Let's see. You got worst picture. I'll knock out actors and actresses here. Worst actor went to Jerry Seinfeld for Unfrosted. Worst actress was Dakota Johnson, Madam Web. Worst actor, supporting actor was John Voight from Megalopolis, Reagan, Shadowland, and Strangers. Good God, 4 films? Come on, he's one of the best parts of Megalopolis. And supporting actress goes to Amy Schumer, also for Unfrosted. Boy, we didn't watch Unfrosted, and that's one I've thought about since, because I had a few people ask me what I thought of that movie. And I was like, I didn't see it. And it's always funny that, like, we'll go see a bunch of stuff throughout the year, and then it's the stuff we miss that people are like, hey, what'd you think of this thing? Maybe worth revisiting at some point. Or maybe not, according to the Razzies.
Of course, worst director went to Francis Ford Coppola for Megalopolis. Other films in this category: S.J. Clarkson for Madam Web, Todd Phillips for Joker 2, Eli Roth for Borderlands, Jerry Seinfeld again for Unfrosted. I like that they have fun with these because they have worst on-screen combo, which went to Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. That is just mean. Other nominees were any 2 obnoxious characters, but especially Jack Black from Borderlands, any 2 unfunny comedic actors from Unfrosted, the entire cast of Megalopolis, Dennis Quaid, Penelope, and Miller. Worst prequel, remake, ripoff, or sequel also went to Joker 2, and finally, worst screenplay went to Madam Web. So Madam Web, multiple Razzie winner.
My God.
Or loser. I don't know how you...
Yeah, the Joaquin and Lady Gaga getting worst on-screen combo really is just mean for mean's sake. Like, come on now, they're not that. They're fine. Like, good Lord. The Razzies continue to be a delight. I'm glad we don't take it too seriously. I don't think Francis Ford Coppola should. I don't think anybody should. Yeah, that's the Razzies, and that's 2025 at the movies, like 2024 at the movies. Really, like overall, pretty good year, man. Like I was really pleased with things. I think this year will be a little bit not quite a slow burn, but a little bit more chill, and then 2026 is going to be real big. I think the lineup for 2026 is going to be pretty outrageous. New Chris Nolan movie coming out, and anything could happen. Any other thoughts on the year, Andy? Before we jump into Naja,
I think. This is going to kind of bridge. So we saw Naja 2 last night, and it was a pretty spectacular experience. And it reminded me of, like, while everyone's having a lot of big conversations and big feelings about the Oscars, like, cinema continues. We still got great movies coming up. We watched one yesterday, and we have Mickey 17 coming out this week. So while people are going to be talking about awards and things, there's always new stuff coming out, and that's always really exciting.
yeah, keep it on off script for more. That is a great segue, Andy. Shoot, you should be doing this. Well, with that, we should move out of the Oscars, move into the first film we're going to talk about this episode. This one's a funny one, man. I'm really looking forward to talking about it. I don't know, Andy, do you want to like intro the film and then talk about the first one, or do you want to do a soft intro of the first movie and then jump right into the second? Where you at?